Welcome to PsychWSigmund, the show where we explore the fascinating world of psychology and uncover the secrets of the human mind. I'm your host, Sigmund, and today we're going to delve into a fundamental aspect of human psychology that affects us all in profound ways: the contrast effect. The contrast effect is a psychological phenomenon where our perceptions, judgments, and decisions are influenced by the context in which they occur. In other words, when we compare things, people, or experiences side by side, our brain uses these comparisons to make judgments about their relative value, attractiveness, or quality. This concept has been extensively studied in psychology, and its implications are far-reaching, affecting everything from consumer behavior to social relationships and mental health. One of the key frameworks that explains this phenomenon is the theory of relative judgment, which suggests that our brains are wired to make comparisons between things in order to understand their value or quality. This theory was first proposed by psychologists like Solomon Asch and Amos Tversky, who demonstrated how people's judgments can be influenced by the context in which they occur. For example, imagine you're at a restaurant and you're trying to decide between two desserts, a rich chocolate cake and a light fruit salad. If you're presented with these options alone, you might think that the chocolate cake is the more appealing choice. But if you're then shown a third option, like a decadent cheesecake, your perception of the chocolate cake might change. Suddenly, it seems less rich and indulgent compared to the cheesecake, and you might start to prefer the fruit salad instead. This is the contrast effect in action. The introduction of a new context, the cheesecake, has changed your judgment about the relative value of the other options. Research has consistently shown that the contrast effect plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions and decisions. For instance, studies have demonstrated how people's preferences for products can be influenced by the context in which they're presented. In one famous study, participants were asked to choose between two types of jam, a high-end, expensive jam and a lower-end, cheaper jam. When these options were presented alone, people tended to prefer the high-end jam. But when a third option was introduced, an even more expensive, luxury jam, people started to prefer the middle option, the high-end jam, because it seemed like a better value by comparison. The contrast effect also has significant implications for our mental health and well-being. For example, when we compare ourselves to others who seem more successful or happy, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. This is known as the social comparison effect, and it's a major contributor to the development of depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. On the other hand, when we surround ourselves with people who support and encourage us, it can have a positive contrast effect, boosting our confidence and motivation. So, how can we use our understanding of the contrast effect to improve our lives? One strategy is to become more mindful of the comparisons we make and the contexts in which we evaluate things. By recognizing when the contrast effect is at work, we can take steps to mitigate its influence and make more informed decisions. For instance, if you're considering a new job offer, try not to compare it directly to your current job. Instead, think about what you want from a career and whether the new opportunity aligns with those goals. Another approach is to focus on absolute standards rather than relative ones. Instead of comparing yourself to others, try to evaluate your progress and achievements based on your own criteria. This can help you develop a more realistic and compassionate sense of self, one that's less susceptible to the ups and downs of social comparison. For example, if you're trying to lose weight, don't compare yourself to someone who's already thin. Instead, focus on your own progress and celebrate small victories along the way. In addition to these strategies, there are also therapeutic approaches that can help us overcome the negative effects of the contrast effect. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for instance, is a helpful approach in identifying and challenging negative thought patterns that contribute to social comparison and low self-esteem. By working with a therapist, you can develop more adaptive ways of thinking about yourself and others, and learn to cultivate a more positive and compassionate sense of self. In conclusion, The contrast effect is a fundamental aspect of human psychology that affects us all in profound ways. By understanding how it works and taking steps to mitigate its influence, we can make better decisions, cultivate more positive relationships, and develop a healthier sense of self. As my colleague, the psychologist Dan Ariely, once said, "The way we experience the world is not always the way the world really is." The contrast effect is a powerful reminder of this truth, and by recognizing its impact, we can take the first step towards creating a more balanced and compassionate life. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.